Lone gunman attacks White House correspondents' dinner and Donald Trump escapes unhurt. No peace talks in Islamabad this weekend. And Pediatrician testifies at medical council hearing over newborn injury complaint. Good evening, welcome to TVB News. A man armed with guns and knives stormed the lobby outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner attended by US President Donald Trump and multiple senior US leaders on Saturday night, rushing towards the ballroom before Secret Service agents swarmed him and took him into custody. The US President was uninjured and was hustled away. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Authorities said the incident occurred outside the ballroom of the Washington Hilton where US President Donald Trump and other guests were seated. The US Secret Service and other authorities swarmed the hotel's banquet hall as guests ducked under tables by the hundreds. The banquet hall was immediately evacuated. Trump was escorted off stage. He was later reported uninjured, as were all other officials evacuated by the US Secret Service. A law enforcement officer was shot in the bullet-resistant vest, but is believed to be in stable condition. The shooting suspect, identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance, California, was swarmed by Secret Service agents and taken into custody. Officials told reporters after the incident Allen was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. An Associated Press journalist gave an eyewitness account of the incident.
So sudden the dinner had just started. President and First Lady had just been brought into the room. A few minutes later, people were just in their first course. And there was some sort of loud commotion. Secret Service came running up. They immediately pulled the President and First Lady and Carolyn Leavitt, who were on the dais. They pulled them to safety. And then everybody was laying on the ground. We were all the journalists, all the guests, all the dignitaries were on the ground. Slowly, Secret Service appeared to be clearing the room, looking. It's unclear exactly what happened, but I saw slowly, we saw Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller and his wife, Katie Miller, get pulled out. We also saw Scott Bessent and Energy Secretary Chris Wright also being moved to safety very quickly. Secret Service moved very, very quickly.
The interim police chief for Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department, Jeffrey Carroll, said investigators believe the suspect was staying in the hotel, and that appears to be how he was able to enter the hotel at the time of the event. The hotel was closed to the public beginning at 2 p.m. Saturday in anticipation of the dinner, which began at 8 p.m. Access to the hotel was restricted to hotel guests, people with tickets to the dinner itself, an invitation to one of the receptions that are held at the hotel before or after the dinner, or documents from the White House Correspondents Association indicating affiliation with the dinner. Security camera footage released by Trump to social media shortly after the incident shows the gunman running past security officers who appear to be disassembling metal detectors. Daniel Rao, TVB News.
President Donald Trump called the gunman a very sick person, and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro confirmed the suspect is facing 2 charges, stressing there will be more charges to come. Gloria Feng has more.
President Donald Trump addressed the media at the White House after he, the First Lady, and senior U.S. leaders were evacuated from the annual dinner of White House correspondents on Saturday night. The suspect is Cole Thomas Allen, and Trump mentioned he was from California.
The man has been captured. They're going to his apartment. I guess he lives in California. And he's a sick person, a very sick person. And we don't want things like this to happen.
Trump said the suspect was stopped by the Secret Service, but not before one officer, who was wearing a bulletproof vest, was shot.
It was, in one way, a very beautiful thing to see a man charge a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons. And he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun. And the vest did the job. I just spoke to the officer, and he's doing great. He's in great shape.
The president says he wanted to continue the dinner until law enforcement told him otherwise, and insisted it will be hosted again under safer circumstances. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says the suspect is being charged preliminarily with 2 counts related to using a firearm and assaulting an officer with a dangerous weapon. More charges are expected.
Right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Now, as you all know, there was an individual, a uniformed Secret Service officer, who was shot. Unfortunately, he is doing all right and he will be fine. But it is clear, based upon what we know so far, that this individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could. And thankfully, because of the checkpoint right outside the ballroom, where thousands of people were situated to hear the President of the United States, because that checkpoint worked, there was no one who was injured when it was clear where this defendant was going.
Pirro says the suspect will be arraigned on Monday in federal district court. Gloria Fung, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he told his top envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner not to travel to Pakistan to negotiate with Iran. This comes as Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi left Pakistan for Oman after holding talks with Islamabad's senior officials. Elsewhere, tensions persisted along the Israel-Lebanon border as the fragile ceasefire remains in place. Daniel Rao has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he told his top envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner not to travel to Pakistan to negotiate with Iran. This as they weren't meeting with the leader of the country. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi left Pakistan on Saturday evening. Trump said the U.S. will deal by telephone and Iran can call anytime they want, before adding Washington has all the cards.
They are fighting with each other. There's tremendous infighting. They're probably fighting for leadership. In many cases, I think they're fighting not to be the leader because we knocked out 2 levels of leaders. But I'll deal with whoever we have to. But there's no reason to wait 2 days, have people traveling for 16, 17 hours. And we're not doing it that way. We'll do it when they want. They can call me. We have all the cards. We've won everything. We have all the cards.
Amid the stalled negotiations with Iran, Trump said the Iranians sent over a new peace proposal, but that it could have been better and he rejected it. The US president wouldn't offer specifics about what was in the latest proposal, other than saying they offered a lot. He stressed that one of his conditions is that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said his country won't negotiate while the US imposes a blockade on its ports. Pezeshkian told Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif the US should first remove operational obstacles, including the blockade, to allow a new round of negotiations. Elsewhere, tensions persisted along the Israel-Lebanon border as the fragile ceasefire remains in place. However, the Israeli army continues to level neighborhoods in towns and villages near the Lebanese-Israeli border, claiming it is only targeting buildings used by Hezbollah. Supporters of Hezbollah held a protest in Beirut against negotiations with Israel amid ongoing strikes. Dozens of people gathered Saturday next to a damaged building in Hadat in Beirut's southern suburbs to support Hezbollah fighting in South Lebanon. Chanting slogans in support of Hezbollah and against Israel and the US, they waved Hezbollah, Palestinian and Iranian flags and held posters of people killed in Israeli airstrikes on Beirut and its suburbs. Darrell, TV News.
A Pentagon email was recently leaked suggesting that Spain should be expelled from NATO for failing to cooperate with the US in the war against Iran. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has refused to allow US forces involved in the war to use bases on its territory or airspace. On Saturday, those supporting his policy took part in a protest in Madrid. They carried no war and anti-Donald Trump banners. Elsewhere in the same city, those who support the war against Iran also demonstrated. Many of these are Iranians living in Spain. They believe Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are helping to overturn the Islamic government in Tehran. The UK's King Charles III and Queen Camilla are set to land in Washington on Monday for a 4-day state visit to the US, marking the country's 250th birthday. It will be Charles's first US visit as monarch, as the British royals seek to calm tensions surrounding Prime Minister Keir Starmer's refusal to support US President Donald Trump's Iran war.
While it comes at a time that the United Kingdom and the United States are at odds over the Iran war, we're really playing the long game here when it comes to a state visit. Presidents come and go, prime ministers come and go, but the British royals remain. And they are a symbol of the enduring stability of what's known as the special relationship. A state visit is about those feel-good things. It's not about the policy of the day. The royals only have to worry about making a good impression. And President Donald Trump has made it really clear that he absolutely loves the royal family.
Sources say the King and Queen are expected to undertake a program of events, including a private tea with the Trumps, a state dinner, a speech to the US Congress, as well as visits to New York and Virginia. A formal arrival ceremony will be held on the South Lawn of the White House on Tuesday, with brass bands playing the national anthems of both countries. And still ahead, government ready to use new method to control mosquitoes in face of dengue fever. Welcome back. Hong Kong reported its first case of dengue fever this year, with Director of Food and Environmental Hygiene Donald Ng noting a surge in the number of mosquitoes in the city. He added that authorities would consider strengthening mosquito control measures. This, as the government said, it will begin its mosquito-to-control mosquito strategy by the start of next year at the latest. Timothy Lee tells us more.
A higher risk of death has been noted among those who have been infected twice by the dengue virus, with cases of infection in Hong Kong primarily coming from mosquito bites. Speaking on a TVB program, Director of Food and Environmental Hygiene Donald Ng noted a rapid increase in mosquitoes in the city over the course of this month. Ng said temperatures this month on average have been warmer compared with the same period last year, adding that since May, gravitraps, devices used for capturing mosquitoes, have also seen a surge in mosquitoes being caught. He believes the figure will continue to go on an upward trajectory as local temperatures keep rising. When asked whether authorities will step up mosquito control measures, Ng noted that the government will strengthen anti-mosquito measures whenever a district's area gravitrap index exceeds 10%, but stressed they will assess the need to further lower the threshold. Besides the traditional methods, authorities are also developing a new mosquito-to-control mosquito strategy. The scheme involves infecting male mosquitoes with a special bacterium before releasing them for mating, which results in their offspring failing to reach maturity. The head of the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department said the strategy could be enforced as early as this year and by the start of next year at the latest. This, as Ng said, preliminary work on the scheme has ensued between mainland and local research organizations. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Residents of one court in Tai Po continue to return in batches to retrieve belongings at their fire-damaged flats. Today is the turn of residents of one townhouse and upper floor residents of one Cheung house. Samantha Lee has more.
Today, access is granted to Wan Tao House and upper floor residents of Wan Chen House, where the massive fire first erupted. Many came prepared with large suitcases and carton boxes. The pack-up also served as a reunion for residents, who took a moment to catch up with their neighbors, offering support to each other. A resident of Wan Tao House, however, said she had never received any photos or even a description in advance, showing the condition of her flat. Having no idea what it was like inside her apartment, Ms. Poon described the experience of going back as being like opening a blind box. Fortunately, she was relieved to find her home mostly intact. Ms. Wong was also among the lucky ones, finding her flat mostly untouched by the fire. She said she will make another visit, hoping to retrieve some pieces of furniture. Wan Chen House, where the deadly blaze first broke out, suffered some of the most severe damage. Holding a walking stick, an upper-floor resident climbed the stairs up to her former flat and had to think through how to pack a lifetime's worth of belongings into containers with the 3-hour window. Upon arrival, she found she actually had little to salvage amid the charred ruins. Fighting back tears, Ms. Tang said she was heartbroken to see most of her belongings were burnt to ashes. She said the condition was worse than what she expected. Some residents brought flowers to pay tribute to a neighbor who perished in the fire, stating that they learned of her passing on social media. On Wednesday, access will be arranged for residents of Wan Tai House and Wan Kin House, while Wan Tao House and Wan Chuan House residents will be granted access until Tuesday. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The Medical Council continued a disciplinary hearing over a complaint filed in 2010 by a Malin couple whose newborn son developed cerebral palsy and quadriplegia. Samantha Lee has the details.
Back in 2009, the couple came to Hong Kong to welcome the birth of their son. After the baby was born, he suffered from high fever and convulsions. Despite emergency treatment, he was left with cerebral palsy and quadriplegia. The parents filed a complaint to the Medical Council in 2010, alleging the pediatrician Dr. Sid Sao-Chi did not follow up the case in a timely manner. The hearing was much delayed, but it started yesterday. During his testimony, Dr. Sid said he received a call by a nurse Ho Kit Ha at around 4 a.m., saying that the baby boy was choking on milk and felt a bit stiff. He claimed that he was never told that the baby was suffering from convulsions, sweating, or turning red. He therefore assessed that the baby had choked, probably due to acid reflux during feeding, which is a common issue in newborns. He then instructed the nurse to stop feeding the infant and put him into an incubator for observation. The Medical Council's counsel pointed that Dr. Sid had never mentioned such details in his written statement. According to a recording of a later meeting with the parents, Dr. Sid did say he was told that the baby had suspected convulsions. Dr. Sid explained that the meeting took place 8 days after the incident, so he made the statement based on a diagnosis. During the hearing, some members of the Medical Council also questioned why an experienced nurse would call a doctor in the middle of the night if it was just a simple case of choking. Dr. Sid argued that the nurse told him the baby was fine 1 hour after, and acid reflux can usually cause body stiffness, so he assessed the baby was choking at that time. He added he did consider other possibilities, which was why he told the nurse to keep a close eye on the infant. The hearing concluded at around 2 p.m. and has been adjourned until June 7th for closing arguments. Attending the hearing with his wife, the complainant, Mr. Lai, said he was not convinced by the doctor's claims. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.